917-910-765-0097. I welcome your calls this half hour or the next half hour as we try to discuss community affairs, community business, and try to bring the community back to life. We are in a state where we have to find life. I find life every day, and I want you to start finding life every day. Don't get depressed. Don't get upset. I was talking to the owner of the station here the other day. We were just talking, I think we was talking yesterday on the phone. And we were talking about things that go on in the community. I said, what we need to do is just cut the TV off for about a month and just go live life. Cut the TV off and stop getting frustrated with what we see every day going on. Just cut it off. Just tune it out. Learn how to tune it out. That's business. Let them handle that. We need to handle the business of living, the business of being excited about living, the business of taking care of our family, the business of making sure our children are educated properly, the business of making sure we go see our loved ones before they perish, the business of making sure we check on the sick and the shut-in. That's the business we need to be about. The political business is going to handle itself. Let it handle itself. We need to be about the business of making sure that the homeless are fed, those in our neighborhood have something to eat. That's what we need to be about the business. We need to be about the business of taking care of our community and making sure, and all communities need to take care of them. Well, you take care of them. Make sure they're well cared for. Did you check on the sister down at the end of the street last week to make sure she's okay? She got something. She got food. Her family's out of town. You know, they come in and out. Did you go by and check and make sure she's okay? Did you go by to see the sister that's in the hospital, the brother that's in the hospital that's sick? It's been there for a while. You know he's there. Did you stop? Did you make a phone call? Did you send a card? Or we just so tied up with the rut of trying to live? That is the life. That's how we live. That's how we get enjoyment out of life. We call it, when Fridays, we call it Healthy Living Friday, but it's all healthy living every day. That's how you live healthy. That's how you find enjoyment. The little things, acts of random kindness. Noah's Ark of random kindness. Yeah. That keeps the ark keeps the floodwaters back, the floodwaters of being down and out, floodwaters of distress, the floodwaters of being puzzled. Just do something. Acts of random kindness. So you see the young student getting off the bus. He's by himself. He looks lonely. Stop and tell him, hey, it's gonna be good. You're gonna be a great student. You're gonna be a giant in this world one day. Tell her you're gonna be a giant in this world one day. You can accomplish all that you need to accomplish. Tell them how great they are. You see the young man in your neighborhood, or the young girl in your neighborhood. You know they're having problems at home. You don't want to get involved. Get involved. That is none of your business. Yes, it is, because it will creep on your door and be your business one day if you don't make it your business. Back in the day, it was Mama's business. It was Miss Shirley's business. It was Miss Clark's business. I was their business, even though my mother wasn't home. Miss Clark, yeah, I was her business. Mr. Richardson, I was her business. And she would tell Mom when I got home what I was doing. She would make her aware of my business. Bring it back. Bring back the love for each other in the community, the joy for each other. Brother Brown called me the other day and he was texting me. He said, man, what happened to us? What happened to that warmth that we used to have? Bring it back. It starts with you. If you're not feeling it, it starts with you. Look in the mirror. I went to an event yesterday. I guess I'm still rolling from that. I had a good time yesterday at the event. We had some technical difficulty, but they showed the film Josiah Henson down at the library yesterday in New Hanover County. If you don't know the story of Josiah Henson and you weren't able to make it out yesterday, just Google, go to your inbox, Google, get you some YouTube videos. It's a story that you need to learn. If not, there is a copy on Amazon of his life. It's called Life of Josiah Henson, formerly of slave Nav inhabitant of Canada. It's about 80 pages long. You can get a gist of what he lived through, what his life was about, but just by reading that and going through that, you can basically get a good leeway. Good day, Robin. How you doing? I see Robin is called checked in. Yeah, I get like that sometimes. This. She said, "You're speaking the word." Yeah, I get like that sometimes. It's my fast that father in me comes out. You know how it is. I want to talk about today. I want to touch on Josiah Henson, and I want to talk about the program or choice. Slavery programmed or a choice. And the reason why I want to use the word program, I think I used this word yesterday. I'm not sure is that the word I used, but I watched the movie and I had read the autobiography of Josiah Henson and the decisions he made before he decided to run away. I want to give you one example of what I call programmed, because some folks, I think, took issue with what I meant about slaves being programmed. And I think they took issue because I said we're still programmed today. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. I'm not going to go into the whole story of Josiah Henson because I want you to read the autobiography. But there's one part in Josiah Henson's life where he's gained the master's trust after being abused over and over again by those around him. However, he was useful. So I wouldn't say he's gained the master's trust. The master's figured out how he can utilize him to make good on money, make good on income. And his master gets in a difficult situation where he's about to lose his estate, his plantation. He has about 18 slaves, including Josiah Henson and his family. So he cuts Josiah Henson a deal. In other words, he manipulates the situation. He says, look here, I can either sell you all down south. Now, if anyone you study slavery, anyone knows this is in Maryland. South means Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, New Orleans. That's what South means. When you're in the North, see, Maryland is still in the South, but if you're close to the North, DC, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, if you ain't in those states and someone says you get to go back down south in slavery times, Maryland is one of those states that's close to the North. They're not as rough on slaves as they are down south. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, those are rough slave states. That's when it gets rough. That's when it gets manhandled. That's when you have, there's an incident when Josiah's father is getting beaten. He's beat with 50 lashes, and Josiah witnesses it at 4. He's getting beat with 50 lashes, and then he gets beat with 50 more lashes after they find out he's still conscious. And then they take a nail and nail his ear to a tree and cut his ear off. Now that's rough, but that's soft for Maryland. See, down south in North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, New Orleans, Georgia, they rough with you. They rougher than that down south. They've got some things down south I cringe to even think about or talk about how they mistreated and mishandled them down the Macy. Yeah, Robin said the Macy-Dixon line. Yeah. Across the Macy-Dixon line, that's rough. So Josiah has a choice. The master wants to take 18 slaves, not including his mother, because his mother is going to stay. It gets to the Bacon and Winter, so I know she's not going. She wouldn't have made it to Kentucky. They're going from Maryland to Kentucky, and he wants them to take these slaves to his brother in Kentucky because he knows he's losing all his property, and if he gets into the courts of Maryland, they're going to take his slaves away from him. He's going to be bankrupt. So he sends his assets. This is called liquidating your funds back in the day. This is how you liquidate your funds. Now you move it to the Swiss bank account. Back then, they just moved it to another state. So he moves his slaves to Kentucky, another state. That's how they do it back then. He was in Maryland, and they decided to move the slaves to another state, which is Kentucky, because he had to liquidate his assets. Because slaves were considered property and were assets. He couldn't move his money to a Swiss bank account. So they were going to take him to court and take everything he had. So he moved his property. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. He took his property and moved it to another state in Kentucky. So Josiah Henson is in charge with leading the party from there to Kentucky. In order to get Kentucky, they had to cross Ohio. And they got to Cincinnati, Ohio. And Ohio was a free state. Josiah Henson was in charge with taking 18 slaves of his master to Kentucky with his wife and his children. He got to Ohio, and Ohio was a free state. The people in Ohio, especially Cincinnati, gathered around him and they said, Josiah, you don't have to go any further. This is a free state. You all can stay here and seek refuge. You can stay in our community here because this land is free land and no one is going to harm you because this is where all the runaway slaves come to anyway. You're free now. Yesterday, I read the words of Josiah Henson, and I'll read them to you again today. Now, he's in a free state. He's taking 18 slaves of his master to Kentucky. Okay, y'all following him now. He's in Ohio, and he decides that he's not going to stay in Ohio. He said, from my earliest recollection, freedom had been an object of admiration, a constant motivation to exertion, an ever-present stimulus to gain and save. No other means of attaining it, however, has occurred to me, but purchasing myself from my master. The idea of running away was not one that I had ever indulged. I had a sentiment of honor on this subject. Josiah Henson had felt at that time that it was more honorable to be honest to his master, because he felt that if he stayed in Ohio with the free and become a free slave with 18 other slaves, he would be stealing from his master. So to keep his honor intact, he decided that it was best to go to Kentucky and take the slaves and put them in captivity in Kentucky, along with himself, his wife, and his children. And that is the decision he made. Now, I said yesterday that he was programmed. And for some strange reason, I felt a sense of awe, or a sense of like I was said something that shocked the crowd. I had mentioned earlier that the comedian had said that slaves were by choice. I said no, he was programmed. And I guess what upset everyone is I said we're still programmed today. That might have been the part that got somebody's nerves. But let me explain myself today. Either it's program or it's choice. You can't have it both ways. Either it was a systematic programming that continues today, or it was choice. I prefer to believe that it was programmed, that the program was systematic, that it was entailed and intact, that it was diabolical, that from the time we reached these shores, we turned one against the other, the children against the mother, the children against the father, the separation of the family. They pulled the children off, they raised them themselves, they put in their minds what they wanted them to think for massive control. Not choice. Because if it's not that, if you're telling me that the man was thinking, that Josiah Henson made that move thinking on his own free will, and it had not been coerced, then it was a choice. I tend to think it wasn't a choice. I tend to think that Josiah Henson, from the day he came to birth on that plantation, saw things that you would never think you'd be able to live through. I believe every day he was told and belittled how he was. He had no self-esteem, very little, sleeping on a floor most of your life with no furniture, having to steal meat just to eat. Yes, part of his job as an overseer of the plantation, he would steal a chicken from the master, go in the woods and kill it and share it with the rest of the slaves just so they could eat, because they wouldn't feed him meat. They wouldn't feed him a decent diet. But him being smart realized the slaves would work better if they ate. No. That's a programming. I want to read you something from psychological warfare. And psychological warfare is taught by the CIA, the FBI, and the Department of Defense. The psychological warfare manual says in order to defeat a target group or a population, they must first be made to distrust themselves. And to accomplish this, you must repeatedly feed the target group misinformation or fraudulent propaganda that's misleading and convinces them that their greatest problem or fear is themselves. This is from the book Psychological Warfare. In order to defeat a target group or population, they must first be made to distrust themselves. First, they got to distrust themselves. And to accomplish this, you must repeatedly feed the target group misinformation, fraudulent propaganda that's misleading and convinces them that their greatest problem, their greatest fear is they themselves. It continues, is what I'm saying. 910-765-0097. The psychological warfare continues today. So when I say we're still programmed, I'm just a messenger. Sometimes you have to deliver the message. It's painful to deliver because you know how people are going to respond to the message. Because I ain't nobody program me. Yes, you're programmed. The clothes we wear, programmed. What we buy, programmed. What we listen to, programmed. You don't think in the radio business, what you're listening to, what your children are dancing to, that's programmed. There's better. There is good music in the world. Are you tuned into the radio station here? There's good music. It's still good music. Still exists. Good music with lyrics that move people. Good lyrics, the good music that captivates your soul. Good music that makes you think positive. Good music that wants you to go out and drive and open a business. Music, yeah. But that stuff they play on the radio is every day around the world, around this country, especially in urban communities. It's programmed to make you act a fool, make you dress a certain way, make you move and grind a certain way. Yes, it's a programming, because as long as I can keep you away from your target goal, away from your target mission, then I can keep you in the program. But when someone says we're still programmed, because we think we're free, we think the program. The thing about the program is what we miss is. Let me soften it up for you. So, because this is what I couldn't get to yesterday that I should have said, because when I said we're still programmed, it may have hurt some people. But let me give you a little comfort. You're not the only ones being programmed. Every ace is programmed. Just like you programmed to think you're inferior, there's another group that's been programmed to think they're superior. The programming works both ways, folks. The same way same way inferiority has been seeped at you, the same way television and movies stole inferiority at you. It's hard to find good, clean comedy, a good, clean shows that give black folks a good light. They're hard and rare. They're rare. They're rare. And when you get one, it stays 3 seasons and it's gone. The same way that we're being constantly fed the 6 o'clock news that we're negative, the 6 o'clock news of young men that's just destructive to the community. The same way we're fed that. The other group, the superior group, are the ones that think they're superior, the ones that have been programmed to believe they're superior, operate differently. Why? Because they're steady programmed the idea that they are superior. Look at the president of the United States. They're constantly fed. We've had one, what is 50, 40, they call him 45? Yeah. But we had 1 in 44. They've had 44 that look and talk and promote the ideas of superiority. I call it the Captain Kirk syndrome. Smock is the baddest one on the ship, but Captain Kirk always wins because he's the man. He's the Earth man. Smock got more sense than anybody. Can get him out of any situation. But it's always Kirk, Johnny to the rescue, and he's the hero. The God complex. Yeah, last poets in the 1960s, 70s, they called it, they have a God complex. That's the superiority complex that exists, and it's been programmed. Sometimes I feel sorry for some of them because they can't get out of the program, just like I feel sorry for some of us because we can't break the program. 1% of the world controls 50% of the world's worth. Think about that, people. 1% of the world controls 50% of the world's wealth. It's a programming, folks. And the same way I'm talking about us breaking this program, I want to talk about them breaking the program because we can't do nothing. Both of us still programmed. Nothing together. We'll never be able to sit in this community together. We'll never be able to grow in this community. We'll never be a melting pot until we all break that programming. We'll never be able to join. When all men join hands together, that day he talked about singing an old Negro spiritual free and Latin. Never. Till we break that cycle. The programming exists and is real. Oh, I saw the looks yesterday. Oh, I saw them. They was cringing. They was like, he called us programmed. Yes. Because I call myself the same thing. I am programmed. I will find myself in certain situations. I told the audience yesterday. There are certain times I find myself in situations, I catch myself. And I said, no, stop it, man. Speak, talk. I catch myself biting my tongue. I catch myself, I got that, because I'm thinking somebody going to. I catch myself trying to change how I look. I go this way, I go that way. Because I'm worried about what someone else over here in another group is going to think and how they're going to perceive certain things. I fall into the same trap. Every day, it's not a day that I don't go out to the door. You think, well, he's on the air. He's no covers. He talk. That man, he be talking. I fall into the same trap, and I've been living this life for 54 years. I've been an activist for 25 of those years. There are meetings that I go into and I catch myself biting my tongue and I got to slap my hand and wake myself up because I fall into the program and I can't say this in front of the mayor. I can't say this in front of the DA. Oh, yes, I can. I can't say this, but this might get back. Is it truth? Then let it get back. And even if it's a lie and it gets back and I find out it is a lie, apologize and correct yourself. That's all. But don't stop talking. Even if I say it and it's a lie and you bring it back to me, you said, "No, that's a lie." I'm going to correct myself on the spot. But never stop speaking. That I find myself in the same situation you are. So when I say program, don't think I'm just talking about you. I'm talking about me too. And I'm talking about the brother to the left and the right as well. And I'm talking about the other community that has the superiority complex. They have been programmed as well. Their children go to a school that programs them. You're better than him. They go home to a family that one of the spelling bee contests. The girl with the black girl that won the spelling bee, that movie. Perfect example of how programming. How dare you lose to her? How dare you lose to her? Oh, she still spells just like your child spell. No. They go home the same. They get that programming in their communities. How dare you come second to him? How dare you come second to her? They get fed programming at an early age, just like our children get fed at an early age, subtle programming. Oh, I knew you got to see that's okay. That's a programming, folks. That's a programming. We fall into programming our children for failure. When our child comes home with C's and D's and we happy just because they got C's and D's, that's a programming because we know they can get A's and B's. They're no different brain-wise, brain scales to anyone. And when you accept the C and D and don't challenge your student to get A's and B's, you have failed into the program of mediocrity for your child, and you're setting them up for failure in this life. You're setting them up for failure. You're setting them to fall into the same program that this is how it's supposed to be. We're supposed, and you're following the same path of slavery programming all over again because you accept the mediocrity. You accept them failure, a C and a D, and you accept that from your child when you know they have the potential to be A's and B students. They showed you at 3, 4, 5 years old what potential they have, but it's something when they go into that school system that turns that off. So what you have to do as a parent, you have to fight it every day to make sure the programming, you reprogram them. When they go to the, we call it the killing fields. When they go to the killing fields and come back home, you make sure you sit down and reprogram them. They've been programmed for failure while they're there. Why? Because most of their teachers are going to accept their failure. And if you accept it, you're contributing to the program. If you sit there and accept that behavior from your child, then you're contributing to the program as well, versus fighting the system and reprogramming your child when they get home and sitting there with them with those spelling words and sitting there with them with their diction and sitting there with them with their language arts and sitting there with their math. And even if you don't understand it, go find somebody in the neighborhood that does and make sure your child, okay, you got a C, all right? Now, next time we getting a B. Okay, you got a B. Now, next time we getting an A. You move them up the ladder. You don't let them go from C and then next time a D and you say nothing. We're falling into the program. We're continuing the program. I don't shop with black folks because they don't know how to do business. That's a program. I can't stand shopping with black folks. They never have what I need. I can't stand shopping when I'm not spending my money with them at all. I can't. Every time I go in one of them businesses, they never on time. It's program, folks. That's a programming. That's the same programming that went on in slavery. Who she thinks she is? I can't stand her. Programming. That's the big house from the little house. That's the house slave from the field slave. Oh, they up there eating fat on the hog. Who do you think he is? Look at them down there. They just act right. If they act right, they could come up here and eat right. But they don't want to act right. The jungle bunny self. That's the language we still use today. It's no different. We still use the same day because we don't fight to break the programming. We allow the programming to continue to exist. I read it to you again. In order to defeat a targeted group or population, they must first be made to trust themselves. And to accomplish this, you must repeatedly feed the target group misinformation and fraudulent propaganda that's misleading and convincing them that their greatest problem is they themselves. From Psychological Warfare. The program continues, folks. You can take it or leave it alone. I got to go pay some bills. Y'all want to hang over with me? I'll be back the next half hour. Give me about 2 minutes here. Let's go pay some bills, get this top of the hour news, and we'll be right back.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
The Department of Justice will investigate if the FBI spied on President Trump's presidential campaign for political purposes, the president making the demand that the DOJ look into whether the FBI, quote, infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign. The DOJ asking its inspector general to look into the issue now. Incoming National Rifle Association President Oliver North says he and the NRA want to make sure that kids are protected in America without taking away the rights of law-abiding citizens. He weighs in after Friday's massacre at a high school in Santa Fe, Texas.
We're trying like the Dickens to treat the symptom without treating the disease. And the disease in this case isn't the Second Amendment. The disease is youngsters who are steeped in a culture of violence. They've been drugged in many cases.
He was speaking on Fox News Sunday, and this is USA Radio News.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I shopped the many highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $27 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-591-9426. That's 800-591-9426. 800-591-9426. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Swearing-in ceremonies held at the CIA for the first woman to ever lead.
The views and opinions expressed by programs on 1180 WLTT are not necessarily those of the station or CLI Radio, LLC. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WLTT 1180 or CLI Radio, LLC.
We're back in the studios of WLTT 1180 AM. Show is called Straight Talk No Chase. I'm your host, Dowd Elamine. I appreciate you all stayed over for the second half hour. Hope it's just as interesting in the first half hour. I hope I'm not boring you to death. 910-765. The line is open. 910-765-0097 if you want to call in. I won't bite. Call. I won't bite you at all. You got something to say? You want to make a comment? You want to comment back on what we talked about earlier about psychological warfare and the programming? 910-765-0097. I promise I will not bite you at all. I enjoy the conversation as well. I get this from my mother. She used to talk a lot around the house. We grew up around the house. Mama never stopped talking. Well, Mama be in the kitchen have a conversation to herself. I guess that's where I get it from. I mean, she could actually talk. You know, she out-talked me. That's you know, she could out-talk me. And about any subject, we used to have some fun talking about subjects and off the air. You call me Daryl. You know, y'all call me Daryl. Daryl, what you think of that? Daryl, what you think about this? And we have go into a conversation and just be going, you know, off on and on and on. But it was a training. It was training going up that makes you see what's going on today as programming. I can see it. I don't know. And I know when I'm stepping on toes because when you say something, I got a call on the air. Let me get this call. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yes, caller, you on the air? Yes, caller.
Hey, Joe Pal Cherokee.
How you doing?
Hey, good. How you doing?
I'm good. Oh, this is my favorite brother. This is my brother from another mother.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. So I heard you talking about Josiah Henson, and if he had any damn sense, he would have said, "Look here, man, we out. You don't owe no honor to nobody that stole you and sold you. You don't owe no honor to nobody of that ilk, straight up." So in a sense, our people are programmed to behave a certain way, straight up. But there ain't no choice. It's a choice if you continue in it now in 2018. But you can fight that programming now. The tools are here to fight the programming. Some people want to be saved. I prefer not to be myself.
Well, I feel you, brother. I mean, you should have seen the when I said it. I guess because I said yesterday that we're still programmed today. That's what got people offended. And I said was the first thought that came to my mind when I saw the look. Well, either it's program or it's choice. If you want to say that it wasn't choice, then it had to be something else. And if we look at the construction of slavery and how slavery took place, and I had to take them. See, a lot of times we get upset, but we don't know the history, and that is why history is so important. When black folks understand the history and stop getting emotional, and go all the way to the books and read and study the history of what happened and what transpired. Only thing we know is some folks, most people, when I say, and I'm not putting all blacks in one bucket, because I know there are some knowledgeable brothers and sisters out there. But the average person I run into, the only thing they know is a few quotes from King, a few books. You know, they don't even know about Garvey or Drew or the older brother. They know a few little ions of history. And the only thing they know, if we came across the boat and slavery happened, that's it. They don't know the system and how it took place. And what they're doing now is they're getting sound bites from YouTube, but they're still not reading.
Exactly. It's so much, just much information out there. You just gotta know the right place to look for them. I mean, I didn't discover Robert F. Williams until the year 2000. I saw an advertisement for a book in a Parade magazine, Radio Free Dixie. After that, I was hooked. And after that, I saw the other books of Robert F. Williams. I've read the book twice. I've read his other book twice. I even read a book he had called Black Crusader. I recommend that book as well. Black Crusader by Robert Carl Cohen. That's an even better book than Radio Free Dixie. And it's a book that really changed my life for the better. So you're right. Slavery is deeply entrenched. It's an insidious thing that the oppressor did to our people, as well as the Native Americans and also the Spanish. It was an insidious thing, and we're still feeling the effects of it all these years after we got out of slavery. It's like the wound is still open and it hasn't healed.
That's why I was telling him yesterday. That's why I read and read because I didn't get Jahari Henson 4 years ago. I stumbled on him 4 years ago. I forgot how I got him. I was in the library and stumbled on the book and started to pick it up and read into it. But I didn't know about the story. And so I told him yesterday, I try not to go to sleep at night until I find something I didn't know. And so I have to search, I have to Google, I have to research, because I'm always looking for some nuance that I didn't know, because we don't know how deep our history is. And brother used to told me, he said, brother, I want you to start learning how to scuba dive, stop swimming in shallow water. Most of us are swimming in shallow water. We don't want to go deep because it hurts. It's painful. It takes a lot of energy and choice to go deep. The deep water is where the diamonds at, bro. That's where the pearls at. The pearls are in the deep water. In the middle is deep down where the diamonds have been crushed at. So we got to go deep if we really want to grow. So I tell people, man, get out the shallow waters and stop being so emotional nowadays.
Yeah, you're right. And as you said, if they're not offended with what you said, then that shows them to be shallow water type people instead of going deep. You know, I mean, I know you, and you're not the type to speak against the people, but you are the type to speak against the stupidity of our people at times.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate the call. Keep tuning in now.
Yes, sir.
All right, get back. Good to talk good to talk. 910-765-0097. You want to call in 910-765-0097. Well, I got an amen corner today. I feel better because sometimes I feel like I hurt somebody's feelings. I don't like to hurt people's feelings. I really don't. People think sometimes people think, man, I get a kick out of that. I really don't like to hurt people's feelings. When I see that I've hurt their feelings, they don't like something I said. It really brought me. I couldn't sleep last night because a couple of the folks in the audience, I mean, one lady looked at me like she wanted to cut my head off because I said you're still programmed, you know, and I admitted it myself that I'm still programmed to a certain extent, you know. To this day, there's certain, I'm not even going there, but there's certain things I'm still programmed on. I know what to do and not to do. But in my mind, sometimes I see certain images that I can't get out of my mind. I can't get the 10 Commandments, the Cecil B. DeMille's out of my mind. With Moses and Pharaoh, I can't get them out of my mind when I know the people was of color. I done studied every book. I done studied books on Egypt and Egypt history. I done went to the library and sat in front a whole day studying Egypt and Egyptology. I know masters on this subject. I studied Brother Dr. Ben, you know. I've read all his articles. I've read his research. Dr. Alvin Van Sertima, I got his books on my shelf. But the 10 Commandments, the Self-Deluded DeVille's version, with Moses parting the Red Sea, and Pharaoh, Yul Brynner, I can't get that out of my head. It's still in there. It's locked. There are days I see that picture. And the same thing with other images we have in our head. It's a program. It was done that way on purpose. That's all I'm saying. In order to fight it, in order to get the understanding, we have to understand the programming. And like I said earlier, don't feel that you're in the boat by yourself. He's programmed too to believe he's superior when he's not. Get on the job. Let me prove my point. That they've been programmed to believe they're just as superior. And you probably have lived this and don't even know what you lived and saw. You get on the job and you start a job off making work with somebody else. Both of you all get hired at the same time. You have a darker complexion. They have a very lighter complexion. They're European, you're African descent. You start off at the same race. You start hired at the same time. You start to work hard. And the boss sees something in you that he doesn't see in the other person. He sees you coming to work on time. He sees you committed. He sees you do an excellent job. He sees that you care about your work. You care about the product. And he promotes you to the next level. The person that came in there online same time as you, that was of a different color, they don't like that. Because they got the superiority complex. And they will get themselves and even your own people to rally against you now. Because they'll call you uppity. Because you're moving up in the world. That's not being uppity. That's being consistent about your work. But they will convince those around you, and it's usually them, because they have the superiority context, and they're looking at the boss and saying, how dare you promote her or him over me? Don't you see I'm white? It goes on every day. You see it every day in the jobs you at, the companies you at. You see it among yourself, and you didn't know what you were looking at. You were looking at a programming, and sometimes you get programmed yourself and feel like you don't deserve the job when you actually did, because you fell victim to the program. And the program still exists, people. We got to break the program, because if we don't believe it's a program, then it was a choice. And I don't believe it was a choice. I know it was a program, and I know the program continues, and I got to fight it within me. I have to fight it with my family. I have to fight it within my children, and I'm definitely going to continue to fight it within my community. We're going to break both programs, both ours and theirs, and then we're going to get some work accomplished here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Appreciate you all that came out yesterday and supported the NAACP and Deborah Maxwell. Even though we had some difficulties, sister did a real good job putting it together. She held her own yesterday. I got to give her props for that, because I don't know how I reacted if the people didn't get that thing right. They kept, how you have the technical difficulties when you got people sitting there and all of a sudden the thing don't work? They're skipping. I ain't like that. I started to go conspiracy theory on you. Get all the way down here and then the tape don't work. Y'all want us to see the movie or something? But I didn't go there. I behaved myself. Coming back on third Wednesday, we'll be back. We're talking economics, and again, always talking community issues, how the economics affect the community, how the economics affect us. Come back with me at 12:30 on Wednesday, and back with Healthy Living on Fridays. Keep tuning in to the radio station every day here at WLTT 1180 and the sister station as well. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you stay tuned. We got some big things coming, some positive things, some bright things coming in the community. I need to announce the raffle. Also have raffle tickets still for the car. It's still available. Come down here, get the raffle tickets, and make sure you tune in. Stay tuned in to both of the pages, Gospel Joy page and also Rejoice Gospel Joy, and also my page, and you'll get a follow-up. If you want the day's message, you want to replay it, it will be available this evening, so you can share it with your friends if they missed it. Share it. I don't mind. Share it. Ask the questions. Send me some feedback. Send me some comments. Didn't like something I said? Please tell me. I wouldn't know if you don't tell me. Love y'all. Peace and blessings.
Wider than a mile.